You know, life is like a picture show. It's a bit funny at times. It drags some in the middle. Sometimes there's this weird dame who won't quit singing. But before you know it, it's all over. Such was the case of Mr. Bolitho Blane. I sighed apprehensively as I looked at the case file before me. There was a lot of papers to get through. I had a feeling this wasn't going to be the easiest of cases. So what do we got here, Gumshoes, as we try and solve this case? A Western Union telegram? March 8th, 1936, 9:01 p.m. It was received in Miami, Florida. 21 RSCZSY, Golden Gull, Miami Radio. So apparently this was a radio dispatch. 13/8/2045. Police headquarters equals Miami, Florida equals Bolitho Blane committed suicide. Stop. Returning port. Immediate stop. Rock Savage. Well, that sounds like the easiest case ever. Let's all go get a drink at the speakeasy. Looks like we solved this case. Bolitho Blane killed himself. I'm sure that's all there is to it. Oh wait, there's more papers? Let's see what else we got here. Police headquarters, Miami, Florida, 9:20 p.m., 8/3/38. Is this supposed to be American notation or English note? This has got to be English notation for the date, I'm assuming, because over on the Telegraph it says March 8th, which would be the third month, and here it says 8/3. So I'm assuming that's for some reason English nomenclature for the date, the 8th of March. To Detective Officer Kettering, radiogram herewith passed you for attention. Bolitho Blane is a British financier. The yacht Golden Gull, oh, that was mentioned, Golden Gull, in the telegram. The yacht Golden Gull left Miami Beach at 7 o'clock this evening. As she was an hour and 3/4 out when radio was dispatched, she should be in about 10:30 p.m. Meet yacht and undertake investigation. John, is that Milton Schwab? Okay, so that means if she was out an hour and 3/4, that means at 8:45, the Golden Gull sent a radio dispatch that they were coming in because Mr. Bolitho Blane had committed suicide. About 35 minutes later, no, 35 minutes later, this dispatch goes out to Officer Kettering, where he is told to go meet the yacht and investigate. The report of Detective Officer Kettering of the Florida Police. This is his words. Acting on instructions received, I boarded the SY Golden Gull from Police Launch X-21 at 10:40 p.m. Alright, so their estimate of when the ship was going to come in was pretty close. In the company of Detective Officer Neem, Police Surgeon Jacket, did you put him on to stay warm? Oh, jokes. Station Photographer Southwold, and Officer Gurdon of the Uniform Branch. Captain Daringham received me with the owner, Mr. Carlton Rock Savage. I assume Rock Savage is the owner of the yacht. His name was mentioned in the Telegraph. In fact, I believe the Telegraph was sent by Mr. Rock Savage, or the radio communique that would become a telegram. I proceeded to the captain's cabin, continues the officer, to take statements. Detective Officer Neem acting as stenographer. All right, so the first statement we have is from Captain Daringham. I assume he is the captain, though not the owner of the vessel. We sailed from New York at 10:30 p.m. on the 5th, carrying 5 passengers, in addition to the owner, Mr. Carlton Rock Savage. All right, that's confirmation that Savage owns the ship, and we have a first name, Mr. Carlton. And his daughter, Miss Fairy Rock Savage. The passengers were Lady Welter, the Honorable Reginald Jocelyn, and Mrs. Jocelyn, who are Lady Welter's daughter and son-in-law. You've already lost me. I can follow like 2 things in a row. I think Bolitho Blane killed himself like the original Telegraph said. Case closed. Or with communists! Right? They're in power now. Oh, wait. The Honorable Reginald Jocelyn, that means either he's a judge or he's some sort of royalty or a lawyer or something. And they are, Reginald Jocelyn and Mrs. Jocelyn are the daughter and son-in-law of Lady Welter, who is one of the passengers. And the Bishop of Bude and Count Luigi Pozzodini. Alright, so they had a lot of people on the yacht. We arrived off Miami at 2:35 p.m. this afternoon, where we anchored. My instructions were that 3 new guests would come on and immediately were aboard. I was to proceed to Nassau, Bahamas. Alright, so I don't know who these 3 new guests are. We know up until this point there's 6 people that are on the ship. At 4:30 p.m., a Japanese gentleman, Mr. Ayosuke Hayashi, came aboard, and at 6:55, Mr. Bolitho Blane, accompanied by his secretary, Nicholas Stoddart. The tender was cleared by 7:50, upon which I gave orders that the ship should proceed to sea. At 8:38, man, this guy's really anal about time. At 7:15 3/4, I took a very big dump. At 8:13, I had a sip of tea. 32 seconds later, I had another. All right, time nerd. Where was I? At 8:38, just after I had sat down to dinner in my cabin, I was sent for by the owner to come down to the suite, which had been allotted to Mr. Bolitho Blane. I found the owner there with Mr. Blane's secretary. They explained to me that Mr. Blane was missing and had left a note which gave reason to suppose that he had committed suicide. The window of the drawing room was wide open, and it looked as if Mr. Blane had thrown himself overboard through it. Maybe he was just going for a swim. I don't know. It was decided not to alarm the other passengers, so the owner said that he would just tell them that Mr. Blane was ill and we were returning to Miami for a doctor. At 8:45, I ordered the ship back to port. Alright, so the owner, Mr. Rock Savage, said, let's not tell anybody, let's go back to port. So Stoddart and Rock Savage apparently knew that Mr. Blane was supposedly dead. We don't know that he's dead. We just know that there's not a body. And now we have a statement from Mr. Carlton Rock Savage. In fact, I think I have a picture of him somewhere here in these papers. Let me look through them a second. There we go. There's Mr. Carlton Rock Savage, owner of the Golden Gull. That guy looks like he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. What's up, money nerd? His picture is just judging me. Stop judging me! So let's see Mr. Carlton Rock Savage's statement. We had just come from New York for a few days' pleasure cruising off the islands, and I had arranged to pick up 2 more of my guests who could not make the yacht in New York from Miami. Oh man, such a hard life when you can't make the yacht. Oh, I guess I'll catch it in Miami. Mr. Ayosuke Hayashi came on during the afternoon and had tea with us. Well, then Mr. Bolitho Blane arrived with the secretary, Nicholas Stoddart, just before 7 o'clock. They went straight down to the private suite, which I had allotted to them, and we sailed at once. I didn't see them as I was on the bridge with my captain when we left Miami at 7:50. Then I went down to the lounge for a drink. You're an alcoholic, aren't you? And why are you holding out on me? Finding Pamela Jocelyn and Count Pozzodini there. I talked with them for a while. At 7:25... Wait, are we going backwards? There's no way. Either Rock Savage is lying, or we have another problem, because there's no way Rock Savage is on the bridge at 7:50, then, as he says, goes to the lounge at 7:25, 25 minutes earlier, unless he hopped in his DeLorean and went back in time. I don't know if Rock Savage, I don't trust him, but I don't know that he's lying here, because if we look at his statement, what it really says is we left Miami at 7:5. And let me consult my notes this second. Excuse me while I whip this out. According to my notes, Captain Derringham said they left at 7:50, but the truth is, if we look at Captain Derringham's statement, he also said 7:5. So maybe I'm wrong at looking at thinking it's 7:50. Maybe it stands for 7:05. And the problem we have is our stenographer, Officer Neem, doesn't know how to write things down. God damn it, Neem! I'm trying to solve the mystery of who murdered Blane if he was murdered, not the case of the stupid stenographer. You're supposed to be on my side, Neem. So I'm going to assume for the moment that it's 7:15 or 7:05. I'm going to go with 7:05 because they said they left like almost immediately after Blane and them showed up, which would have been, I think, 6:55. At 7:25, Mr. Stoddart arrived and introduced himself as Bolitho Blane's secretary. He said that Blane wished to get some. I want to get some too, you know what I'm saying? Cables off before changing and asked that I would excuse him from putting in an appearance before dinner. Wait, did he even see Bolitho Blane when he came on the ship? He says Mr. Bolitho Blane arrived with the secretary at 7 and they went straight down to the suite. I introduced Stoddart to Mrs. Jocelyn and the Count, then offered him a drink, which he accepted. After a few moments, Stoddart asked me if the type sheets on the notice board in the lounge contained the closing prices of the New York stock market, and, on my telling him that was so, he said that Mr. Blane was anxious to have the latest information. Why is Mr. Blane so interested in the stock market? That's a point I think we better remember. He took down some of the prices in his notebook, tore the leaf out, and, as he had not finished his drink, asked the lounge steward to take the list down to Blane's cabin. That's a man after my own heart. Well, I know my boss wants these numbers, but I have some important drinking to do. Well done, Secretary Stoddart. The steward came up with him and said that the drawing room of Blane's suite was locked and that he could get no answer. This is suspect. Has anybody seen Blane alive since he showed up, if he was ever even here? Stoddart then told him to take it down again and slip it under the door. Mrs. Jocelyn and Count Pozzodini left us about this time, and I remained with Stoddart for a while. Later, the bishop joined us, and Lady Welter came in for a few minutes after him. Then I noticed that it was already 10 after 8, so realizing that I would have to hurry if I were not to be late for dinner, I went down to change. I like to imagine he's just running down there. I've got to get my food! Yes, run, fatty, run! That's me in a little bit when I go eat my meal. At a little after 8:30, I got back to the lounge to find all my guests assembled for dinner, except for Bolitho Blane and Stoddart. Just as I was contemplating sending down a message to Blane, the cabin steward came up with an urgent request that I should go down to Blane's cabin right away. On arriving there, I found Stoddart standing in the drawing room, looking very pale and shaken. He said to me, "Mr. Rock Savage, I'm afraid I've bad news for you." Then he handed me this note. Dun dun dun! What is the note? What does this say? Dear pervert? Dear Prodert? Oh man, this chicken scratch is bad. How am I gonna... Dear Stoddart? Oh, maybe it's for Stoddart. Okay, this is for Nicholas Blane's secretary, I guess. Nicholas Blane? Where did I get that? Bolitho Blane. Bolitho Blane. Let's see if I can read this chicken scratch. This is gonna be the hardest case. The case of trying to read this shit. You know how worried I've been all through the trip. Oh, you know how worried I've been all through the trip. Day after day, I've been watching Argus Suds maybe, go down on the Beanolamus with them? I'm pretty sure Beanolamus is not the right thing. Detective Paul's like, I found the murderer! It is a giant bean named Beanolamus. Alright, so day after day I've been watching Argus Suds go down on the... something? I had hoped to face my cumjaman? That can't be right. That's nasty. Through, but things have gone too far for Rock Savage to give me a decent deal. It's deal or meal, but I'm pretty sure deal. So I am just cursing what happens to them now. This lark is a forlorn hope, and I never wank. Wait, you never? Not even, or is it once? I never want to join it? Oh, maybe it is. Oh, maybe Rock Savage has a group or something. He doesn't want to join it. There's a tough crowd behind Rock Savage, and I wouldn't put it past them to try and do me in while I'm on the yacht. That would send the Argus shares down to you? Some number I don't know? Without any further argument. Anyhow, I'm not going to wait and chance it. The struggle has proven too much for me. I have always they're pulling and rock them from the nightmare of a bankruptcy examination. So he'd rather do something than have a bankruptcy examination. I'm guessing I'm peeing Bolitho Blane. Oh, this is written by the man who was supposedly murdered. Bolitho Blane. This is to his secretary, Stoddart. So apparently, something called Argus Suds is going down and not doing well. That troubles Bolitho Blane. Rock Savage wants to join him or have him join him for something, but Bolitho Blane does not trust the crowd Rock Savage is about, and Bolitho Blane is worried someone would murder him on this yacht. Sure, I didn't get every word, but did you get more? If you got more, let me know what the words are, because this shit was hard to read. I certainly didn't get it all. Or maybe he's saying I have always wanted pudding. Rather than the nightmare of a bankruptcy examination. It also means he must have a company that is not doing very well. And maybe that's why he's meeting with that rich guy, Rock Savage? Let's get back to Rock Savage's continued statement. So he gave us that. I don't know if that's supposed to be the suicide note or what makes them think he might have suicide. What he says in that note about there being a tough crowd behind me is sheer nonsense. Just a wild statement of a man who was half off his head with worry. So we did get out of the note correctly that Bolitho Blane apparently is worried about Rock Savage and whatever connections he has. He didn't know the first thing about me personally, as we had never even met, and as I didn't see him when he came on board, I never set eyes on the man in my life. Alright, so very interesting. What I was saying earlier is, did he see Bolitho Blane? So according to Carlton Rock Savage, he has never seen Bolitho Blane. He doesn't know what he looks like. So maybe we have an imposter? We had corresponded a lot in a business way, not in a carnal, sexy way. Oh, of course not. But of course we did in a business way, and I knew that he had been having a tough time lately. So I was hoping this little trip, with a few nice people, right away from everything, was just what he needed to set him up again, and I was looking forward to make his acquaintance. After I had read that letter I've just given you, Stoddart handed me a slip of paper, which he said the cabin steward had found on Blane's table. I saw at once that it was the page that Stoddart had torn out of his pocketbook after he had taken down the quotations of the closing prices of the New York stock market from the notice board in the lounge, and which he had sent down to Blane earlier. It had a few lines of writing in a different hand on the other side. Here it is. Rock Savage is full of clues. Alright. Leaf torn from Stoddart's pocketbook at 7:40 p.m. on the 8th of March, and found by the cabin steward in Bolitho Blane's cabin at 8:33 p.m. Let's get a closer look at this. Okay, there looks like there's some writing on the other side. I don't know what this all means. Thursday the 8th, full moon at 5:14 a.m. Redmire Lind, 66 3/16 to 66 3/4. The Denton Brothers, 84.5 to 85. Rock Savage Con. I'm guessing these are the stock prices because of what they said about the stock thing. 51 and whatever. So Argus Suds. So Argus Suds is a company. 39 3/4 to 39.5, and for some reason it's under 40. So that's what Blane was watching, this company Argus Suds, and watching its value go down. Can we flip this over and see the backside? Oh, more scribble. So this would have been written by Stoddart. Yowza. That's a great word. Yowza, Argus has gone under 40, so the game is up. So there's a financial problem that when Argus Suds is under 40, maybe that queers some deal? Hey, it's 1936. It has a different usage. The word queer back then. Interesting. So this is why Bolitho Blane supposedly killed himself? Let's finish Mr. Rock Savage's statement. I sent for the captain at once, told him what had occurred, and he put back to port. While I sent a message up to my daughter that she was take the guests in to dinner, then went up to the wireless room and sent a radio to the Miami police. Very, very interesting. So we have a man that only Stoddart has seen that claims to be Bolitho Blane, who has supposedly died or is missing. Maybe we'll find later on that there's a body. We have a failing company that Bolitho Blane was worried about, and we have a secretary who said the game was up because the price of that company, Argus Suds, has gone below 40. How about you? I'm suspect that maybe Bolitho Blane was never on here, or did he switch places? I watched too many mystery things. He switched places. He's really the secretary, and he killed the other person. Case closed. Hopefully I didn't ruin it. Or did I solve it already? Because I'm the world's greatest detective. Well, Gumshoes, do you know who the real murderer is? Let's see, what else do we got? We got a statement from Mr. Nicholas Stoddart, which is Bolitho Blane's secretary. And in fact, we have a picture of him somewhere. Let me see if I can find it in the mess of stuff we got here. There we go. Wow, this dude's a giant. He's huge, and he looks shifty. He's a shifty-looking motherfucker. He did it. I still wonder if that's Bolitho Blane, and he killed his secretary to take his place. Who would know? All right, let's read Mr. Nicholas Stoddart's statement. Mr. Blane told me about a fortnight ago that his companies were in very serious difficulties, but that his principal competitor, Mr. Carlton Rock Savage, had invited him to a conference in the United States. Woo! USA! 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 God bless America. Can I continue? Only if you're a communist. Don't you love America? Mr. Blane believed that Mr. Rock Savage's companies were in almost as serious difficulties as his own, owing to the price-cutting war, which had been going on between them for a considerable time. Mr. Blane was the big man of the British soap combine. Oh, he's got that going for him. Hey, bitches, check me out. I'm King Soap. I like to keep it clean. He can get all the dirty bitches because he can clean them up. Wait, where were we? And Mr. Rock Savage, the head of the rival group in America. Yeah, American Soap. I don't, what? Between them, they could have had the virtual control of the world soap market. Soap oligarchs. I knew it would come to this. But they have been trying to smash each other. Whoa, get a room, pervs. For months past, and neither had succeeded to date. That's like my dating life. Oh. He's like, sir, I'm trying to give you a statement. That cost both groups an immense amount of money, and an amalgamation between them would have meant salvation to them both. That's only Jesus. Only Jesus brings salvation. Whereas, if they continued their rivalry, it was quite certain that one of them would go under. The dreaded soap wars. Mr. Blane accepted Mr. Rock Savage's invitation, and we sailed for the United States in the Berengaria. During the voyage, Mr. Blane was very depressed. The steady fall in the shares of his companies caused him grave anxiety, and he told me repeatedly that if Argus Suds went below 45, he would have had little chance of pulling off a deal with Rock Savage except upon ruinous terms, and that if Argus Suds went below 40, there would be no chance of his pulling off a deal at all, as it would pay Rock Savage better in that case to let him go under. The fact that the shares of the Rock Savage companies were also falling, although in lesser degree, did not appear to console him. So now we know for sure why Argus Suds and the $40 price thing is so important, because supposedly Bolitho Blane needed a high share price to try and effect some sort of merger. Mr. Blane's depression was so great at times that I had grave doubts as to his sanity. Ha! Grave! Like he died! That's not appropriate, sir. He seemed to think that Rock Savage and his associates would stop at nothing to wreck him. He knew, of course, that his death would mean a complete slump in the Blane interests. And although he had never met Mr. Rock Savage, he apparently regarded him as a man who might even go to the length of engineering his death in order to smash the Blane companies. Well, what can I say? Us Americans play for keeps when it's the soap business. He knew that his only hope of pulling his companies through was this conference on the Golden Gull, yet he seemed to think that by going on board, he'd be taking his life into his hands. And it was such statements as these which made me consider him to be off his mental balance at times. We could have joined the yacht in New York, but Mr. Blane jibbed at the last moment from his fear that his life would be in jeopardy. But he pulled himself together a few hours later, and I cabled Mr. Rock Savage for him that we would fly down to join the yacht at Miami. I wonder if there was something specific that made Mr. Blane think, no, not in New York, or I don't want to. Just before 7 o'clock, we came out to the yacht in a tender. A chicken tender? Delicious. And on being told that Mr. Rock Savage was on the bridge, went straight down to our suite with the chief steward. The cabin steward came along and asked if he could unpack, but Mr. Blane was so nervous he would not allow the man inside his cabin. The yacht got underway just about then, and Mr. Blane told me to change at once, and when I left him, he was starting to unpack his things himself. Directly I had changed, I returned to the drawing room and found Mr. Blane had only unpacked a few things from his suitcase. He was sitting staring out of the porthole. He was probably thinking, what a lovely place to drown myself. After a moment, he sent me up to Mr. Rock Savage with a message that he wished to get some cables off, and so would not appear before dinner, and told me at the same time that I was to get the latest market prices, which had come in by radio, and send them down to him. I don't trust the stutter, do you? I don't one bit. That was at 7:30. Then I went straight up to the lounge, and finding Mr. Rock Savage there, introduced myself to him. He introduced me to Mrs. Jocelyn and Count Posadini, and gave me a drink. I took down the closing prices, in which Mr. Blane was interested. These were sent down at 7:40 by the lounge steward, who returned to say that Mr. Blane's door was locked and that he could get no reply, because he was probably dead, or he's not there because he's not real. I mean, he's probably really real, but there might have been a switcheroo. I remarked that Mr. Blane would be changing. It was probably in his bath, so the steward was instructed to slip the note under his cabin door. Mrs. Jocelyn and Count Posadini left us just after that, and I remained in the lounge talking to Mr. Rock Savage. The Bishop of Bude came in, and then Lady Welter. This is too much for me to remember. I'm not good at remembering things. Mr. Rock Savage remarked shortly after that it was 8:10, so he must change at once or he would be late. And if he was, we were to go into dinner without him. After he had left, Mr. Ainusuki, I know Suki either, Hayashi came in, then Count Posadini. At 8:30, Mrs. Jocelyn, having changed, returned to the lounge with her husband, Mr. Reggie Jocelyn, to whom she introduced me. Wow, good for you, buddy. Can we wrap this up? I want the cool things. When did something explode? It was just after the dinner bugle. You say that like it's like you're used to that. Do any of you live in a place where you normally have a dinner bugle? It was just after the dinner bugle sounded that the cabin steward came up to the lounge and handed me the note that Mr. Blane had left for me. Having read it, I hurried below with the cabin steward. Is that the note we just read that I butchered, the big one? We found that Mr. Blane's suite was empty, and the window of his drawing room was wide open, so it looked as though he had thrown himself out into the sea. It was then that the steward picked up a piece of paper from the writing table, which I recognized at once as a leaf from my pocketbook with the share quotations on it. And I saw the line of writing in Blane's hand containing his last message on the back of it. Oh, so when I read the message, the Yowza one before, that wasn't Stoddart who wrote it, it was Blane, which was probably why it was so hard to read. I had sent the steward up to get Mr. Rock Savage at once, and immediately I had told him what had occurred, and he sent for the captain. This business had been a great shock to me because, although I had not been in Mr. Blane's employ for very long, he always treated me decently, and I gotta be pretty fond of him. I don't think there is the least doubt about it being a case of suicide. Big business people may use unscrupulous methods at times, but it's stretching things a bit too far to suggest that they actually murder one another. Yeah, because rich people have never hurt other rich people. Stoddard, I got my eyes on you, you giant lurch motherfucker. You're a suspect as hell. I think Mr. Blane's fear for his life was brought on purely by an overstrained imagination and realizing that his last hope of saving his companies had disappeared when the Argus Suds shares dropped below the 40 level. He decided to make an end of himself rather than face the music. It just leads me to so many questions. Did Rock Savage purposely avoid seeing Bolitho Blane because they were in on it together? Were Stoddart and Rock Savage in on it together to try and ruin Argus Suds so that Rock Savage and his dirty cronies could dominate the soap market? There are more questions than answers. What do you think, Gumshoes?